that same type of move, but it's good to do it in a real game setting. But I felt good throughout the whole night.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Yeah, but this is twofold. Obviously, you took the rehab seriously, but were you surprised at how quickly and seamlessly you got back into this, considering it's been 2 months since you've had live action? And secondly, unless I'm mistaken, this is the first game you played with the fans here. Yes. I mean, what was that like for you?
First question. No, I didn't. I expected to come out here and play the way I played. I wasn't trying to ease into the game. I just wanted to go out there and dive right into the action. I mean, the game was already fast-paced already, so from watching it from the bench, I knew exactly how I needed to approach it. So, but it was pretty cool coming off the bench, I can't lie. But it was also good to play in front of the fans as well.
Brian Mahoney with the Associated Press.
Kevin, when you did come off the bench, that last part of the second quarter, just, how enjoyable was it to see that kind of basketball and be involved in playing that? I mean, you guys were pretty close to perfect the last few minutes there.
Yeah, I mean, when we move our bodies and we move the basketball the way we did, and we talk on defense, it's fun out there. You got veteran players that know how to play, and it feels like, these guys can finish my sentence before I even finish. So these guys know the game inside out. They know me. They know one another as teammates, and from playing against each other over the years. So it's pretty smooth.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Hey, Kevin, what's your understanding? Steve kind of said it's going to be almost in-game ramp-ups now that you've done the in-practice ramp-ups. What's your understanding of how it's going to be for you moving forward, starting with maybe tomorrow, Saturday, after that?
Tomorrow, I mean, practice days is the same thing I've been doing, but games, whatever coach throws at me, I got to be prepared for, and I'm sure he's going to try to toss some curveballs at me to see how I handle it, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think a few games of this, and I'll be back to probably normal minutes and rotation.
Thank you.
Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
This was your first time playing with Blake, Nick, and LaMarcus. Just what were your early impressions of your lineups with those guys? And you made it seem like you really kind of have a really good chemistry with those guys. You kind of feel like you're starting in a better place, and we're just better from the ground, not from the ground up with them, given how it looked.
Yeah, I mean, we always been in communication about, different sets and, different actions, when I was on the bench and practices and stuff in film room. So I felt like we were learning each other throughout that time, and then actually, finally getting out on the floor. We didn't have to say much, because like I said, I feel like we know each other's games, and we know exactly how to, what to do on each play. And, so guys have been in constant communication, no matter if it's a game or off day, and I think that helps.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, Kevin, how's it going? The concept of gravity, right? Like a guy like yourself doesn't even need to have the ball in his hands to have an impact on a game where a defense will have to adjust and make plays just because you're out there, just because you're a threat. Can you kind of feel that when you step on the floor? Can you feel that, that creating other opportunities for your teammates while you're out there?
Yeah, but I only feel that when I play with force, when I'm, getting downhill, when I'm aggressive with the basketball, when I'm making the right play. I feel like I shift the defense. But if I'm just out there standing and not playing physical spots, right, I feel like I'm just out there. So I just try to make a conscious effort of doing something, imposing my will in some way, maybe not just scoring, but pushing the tempo, rebounding the basketball, just getting into the paint, little stuff like that I try to do. But I only feel like if I'm playing with force.
Barbara Barker with Newsday.
Yeah, Kevin, the way you were just able to come back and pick up and score the way the way you did. A lot of people talk about the big three not being together, but it seems everybody knows each other's games. Do you think it's just because you know each other, it's going to be pretty easy as people come in and out and to gel and keep together? Yeah, when you got veteran guys that know how to play the game of basketball, and you got a coaching staff that most of the guys played and they know how to explain the game in simple terms. I think, that'll help us,
going forward, especially with guys being out. And as far as late in the season, we want everybody and need everybody on the court to actually, see how this stuff works. But we got a good gauge on who we are as a team, and we want these guys to be, especially, James, Landry, TJ, we want them to be 110% when they get back out on the floor. And but in the meantime, everybody's always just talking about the game. Everybody here loves to play.
Last question, Nick Friedel with ESPN.
Kevin, good to see you. On a side note to tonight, Steph's on the verge of breaking the Warriors franchise record for points, breaking Wilt's record. Haven't played against him, haven't played with him. How would you describe the impact he's had on that franchise and the Bay Area as a whole?
It's hard to describe in words. It's just a feeling. It's just a spirit that he plays with, that he brings. It just calms everybody down. Not just the basketball community in the Bay Area, but everybody, it feels like, and he plays with so much enthusiasm and skill, and he's such an artist of what he does. It's just, it was a joy to play against him and compete against him, but to play on the same team as him, you to see that every single day, it only sharpens you and makes you better. So, the amount of time he puts in, knew this was coming, and that him breaking records is, is something that, to me, feel like is guaranteed with the way he plays, so it was just a matter of time.